This is a cool Pong shooter, and you can go ahead and jump on my website at bacon-first.com and download the plans. On that site, on WIP, on that page, you'll find a link to download the plans. As you can see, you can do a lot of cool things with it. Put a little target in a soap box, use a bigger target. The little Pong gun shoots pretty far just with a standard stretchy rubber band. First step is to try to print up a set of plans, either full size if you can, if you've got the capability to expand it, or you can take a look at the plans if you print it small and actually just follow the dimensions. Essentially, if you put 4 parallel lines, one at the very bottom of the shooter, the second one the different levels, and work your way up, then all you have to do is fill in between and then mark the holes like I'm marking right here. Once you get it marked, then go ahead and cut yourself out a pattern. As you can see, this little pattern is what I'm going to use when I start cutting out the wood. Now the key is to make sure that you find yourself a 3/4 inch board, and that 3/4 inch board is big enough in both dimensions so you can go ahead and lay that out and cut out the Pong shooter in just one cut. And I'm going to go ahead and trim this board so it's going to fit just about right. And then what we're going to do is we're going to cut that off and then see if we can go ahead and lay out our plans and then start cutting it out. Truth is, if you have a bandsaw, that's ideal. But I'm going to go ahead and cut it out with a jigsaw. It's a little safer tool, and it's actually easier to do. And as you can see, I try to position the pattern on there and draw a few lines by hand. I'm going to use a pencil because I can go in and correct that pencil. What's critical on this is the 3 levels I've actually outlined in red. If you go ahead and download the PDF file, and if you do have access to a table saw, it's probably not a bad idea to do those 2 or 3 small cuts where the actual ping pong ball slides along it. And I'll show you that in about another minute or so along this video. And as you can see, I'm marking these lines to see how straight they are, just to double check my pattern. Then basically just take a jigsaw, start at one end, and start working my way around and cutting out the pattern as evenly, as carefully as I can, and staying on the lines. In this particular case, I've actually done all the pieces on one board. So you're going to have to cut off one small piece on the top, which is that piece that goes on the end of the shooter and holds the 2 dowels, which actually hold the rubber bands to shoot it. As you can see, you mark the holes. In fact, an easy way to do this is to take something pointy. I just use a little spade drill bit here, and make sure you mark through the pattern. That way, when you drill the holes, they'll be pretty close to on center. Then just get yourself a drill bit. You actually need 2 different sizes. You need a 1 1/4 drill bit. Then you need a 3/8 drill bit, assuming you use 3/8 dowel rods. And the 3/8 dowel rod works actually very well. As you can see, the basic shape, and there's the piece that goes in the front. And this shows just finishing up one of the holes. Now, once you get it done, what I did is double check it, make sure it all looks good. And then what I'm basically doing is taking and that's the extra piece that I'm showing on the video right there. When I take a little board and do a little hand sanding just to clean it up, I'm using one of those 6-inch diameter sticky pads and put it on a board. Makes a great little sanding block. Now, this is fairly critical. What you want to do is you want to make sure that notch that I put it on is actually smaller than the part I've got my finger on. You do not want the ping pong ball coming out and hitting the little block. So you want the block below where the pong goes, right along there. You want the ball to come out and not hit it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and clamp that little piece on, and then I'm going to check and make sure that small piece is pretty much on center. We want it to be as close as we can get to center. I've already pre-drilled the holes for the dowel rods and the holes I'm going to put my screw through so I don't split the board out. Critical to pre-drill the little holes for the screws here. If you don't, there's a good chance when you try to screw through that block, it's going to split out the board. Now, the other critical thing is that when you actually go ahead and screw your screws in, you want to make sure that the screw is long enough to hold well. In addition to that, what you really want to make sure of is that you're pushing on that screw pretty strong because you want to countersink that head. So it's at least flush. The important thing is it's not sticking up. Once again, anything that's sticking up is going to interfere with that little ping pong ball coming across that segment right there. And as you can see, I'm double checking to make sure that that's level on the very top. That is pretty critical. You want to make sure that path for that ping pong ball is level, or at the very least not popping up in front of it. And that's the basic unit right there. Now, what we're going to do is essentially get our clothespin, hook it up, get our dowel rod. In the dowel rod, you need 4 pieces. I cut 2 of them, 2 1/4. Those are the ones that stick up and your rubber bands go on. And I cut the other 2. It can be anywhere from 3 to 4 inches. It really doesn't make any difference. And as you can see, I took the dowel rods and sanded them just a teeny bit so they weren't rough around the corners. I stick the dowel rods on top, and I put the rubber band on one side. That way I can just flip it on and off. Now what is critical is that when you line up your clothespin, you want it to be about in the center, as I'm showing you on that ping pong ball. If it's too low, your ball is going to pop up in the air. So it's critical the rubber band hits just about in the center, or as close to the center as you can get it. And you basically just pull your rubber band back, put your ball in, and it holds in place for you. And what you do is you aim your shooter, pull the trigger, and you got a little boom, pong. It's actually pretty windy out in my yard, and I just shot a few of them just to see how far it would go. If there wasn't a lot of wind, I'd say this would go 30 feet. Now, you can put a little stronger rubber band on it and go a little farther. Or you can make it a little longer if you want to. It's just up to you. It's a cool toy. And what's neat about it is that it has a place you can put 3 ping pong balls and store it.